Hello and welcome to Curiosity Chronicles. Today we're going to talk about the two missing children in Nova Scotia, Lilly and Jack. This is an incredibly tragic story, and I think we're going to learn a lot. I think we're going to learn a lot about these people. Somebody's lying. We know that. And I think we know who it is. So they have been missing for just over a week. And at the start, people were really speaking out, defending their parents, saying, no, they're wonderful parents. And suddenly those people have gotten quite quiet. Have you noticed that? So here's the story. Last Friday, the mother and the father of these two children, Lilly and Jack, we're going to say their names, okay? Because they are the true victims in all of this. The parents were sleeping. They were in bed. The two children are the mother's children, and the stepfather, the boyfriend, is the stepfather. So the mother and the stepfather are in bed with their 18-month-old baby that they have created together. So she has two of her own children. She now has a third child that she made with this man. And the baby's like 16, 18 months old. So I don't know. When my son was 18 months old, he slept in his crib, and I don't know. But maybe everybody needed a nap first thing in the morning. So apparently, so their story is that they heard the children playing in another part of the trailer. Like they live in like a trailer home, mobile home kind of situation. So it's not a huge house where you could lose track of a child. So they heard the children playing, and then they went back to sleep. They left a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old playing alone and went back to sleep. They woke up about an hour and a half later, and the children were gone. So the stepfather, the boyfriend, has told all kinds of things. He's been doing a lot of talking, and he has talked about what the children were wearing when they silently left the house before 10 a.m. while he and his girlfriend, baby mama, were sleeping. He knows a lot of the details about what they were wearing, what they had, her backpack, her boots, everything. So unless these things were missing, which I'm going to be honest, as a mom, I'm going to guess the mom would notice what was missing in terms of like the pink boots or the blue boots or the backpack or whatever, more than a dad would. Like I, my husband, he doesn't even know where his own stuff is, let alone our son's stuff. So there's, I found it really, really interesting that he had so much to say about what the children were wearing, that the little boy was in a pull-up when he left the house. Dude, you were sleeping. Are you just assuming that because you put him in a pull-up when he went to bed the night before that he was still in the pull-up? Like, it's just, he was very adamant about what the children were doing and wearing when they left the trailer home, the mobile home, whatever they call it. It's not a big, it's not like a brick and mortar house with multiple rooms and everything. It would be, divided up the way like a trailer or a mobile home would be divided up. And no judgment. I have an RV. I know what it's like to live in an RV. It's just that why these details are important is that the children really couldn't, if they're in the house, they're not that far because there's just nowhere else to go in the house. They couldn't be like hiding somewhere. So there was some interesting elements about the children's week. Apparently they were off school sick, but somebody said they saw Lily at school on Monday, and then apparently Wednesday was an in-service day at the school. I don't know what that means. We don't have that term here in Ontario in the public schools. So I don't actually know what that means, if it means that the kids were just off school for the day. Maybe it's a PA day, what we would call that in Ontario. It's always interesting that when children go missing, but they've been off school for a few days leading up to them being reported missing, Yeah, no one's seen them for a few days. I don't know. Timelines, right? Timelines. So interesting contradictions that have come up. And yes, I do have all kinds of notes here. The aunt, one of the aunts of these children said that they're nonverbal. So that to me, that would mean maybe they have autism and they don't speak. That both of these children have autism and don't speak, and they're nonverbal. I think that is what I would take. So not only are they little children who maybe can't communicate the way the rest of us would, but there's also potentially an autism element here. What is interesting is that the mother of these children said both children would talk to anyone and they don't understand stranger danger. So do they speak or not speak? Why are we getting so many conflicting things here? So the stepfather, when they realized they couldn't hear the children anymore, they got out of bed, and then he went searching for them while the mother called 911. And there were tracks apparently in the driveway that led to the road, which I've seen overhead pictures of it. If you just go on just Google it, you'll find the pictures. And there might even be some drone footage, but it's a very rough kind of place. There's a chicken coop. I believe it's his mother and brother that live in another trailer on the same property. And there's just kind of junk everywhere. It's all sort of falling down. It's all a little bit sad. So he was able to tell us about her white backpack with strawberries, which is apparently now a brown backpack, possibly what she's wearing. I thought it was kind of strange that he had so many details. They had scent dogs brought in, but they didn't get a scent any further than their driveway, which would potentially make sense, because if the children were driven off the property, the scent might be lost there, but the children would play in the driveway and would walk up and down the driveway for the school bus and things like that. So that kind of makes sense. But then it's like, well, where did they go? If the dogs lose the scent and their scent doesn't go off the property, then how did they leave the property? Where are they? And the news is reporting that the mother and the father of these two children apparently had some sort of argument, dispute, anything with her family in the last week, and that she has left with the baby, with the 16, 18-month-old. She's left and gone to her family. So there's no united front here. I do find it interesting that her family thinks there's something up and that she's not standing strong with him, because why would she not be saying, no, it wasn't, like, he had nothing to do with it. He loves them. He's been searching for them. If I had your body in the back of my car, I'd be searching for you too. I'd be leading the search. Take the scent off me. Yeah, it just looks a little bit suspicious, doesn't it? And no, I have no intention of unaliving anybody and putting them in my car. So, but still, it's like, if that was the case, what would be the best thing you could do? Lead the search. You're there as a volunteer helping the search. You're determined to find these kids, except his determination is starting to make it look kind of suspicious. So, yeah. Now, the boyfriend, the stepfather of these children, he has two other children from another relationship. So they actually have 5 children in total. There's the 2 children from his previous relationship, 2 children from her previous relationship, and then this one child that they had together. So that's quite the blended family. Means nothing other than just here's some details. But I do wonder, does he have a relationship with the first 2 children that he had? And I don't know that. They have removed their social media so that no one can talk to them. I think the report that I got was they first changed the relationship status to try to disconnect themselves from each other. And now both profiles are gone, apparently. So there was an expert, a retired search and rescue worker actually is like, something not right here. Something is not right. So the questions that are coming up are, why would Jack, just in a pull-up, which is, for if you're in other parts of the world, it's just a diaper. It's like just like, imagine a diaper is like you open it up and you kind of like attach it on. This is just like pull-up underwear, but it's absorbent. So when little kids can't make it to the washroom and they peep their pants, they're wearing basically underwear that is a diaper. And I know anybody in Canada would know what that is, but there's people in the other parts of the world who are like, what's a pull-up? Why did the scent dogs why were they not able to track them and be on the driveway? Like, you'd think that even if the kids at any point in their life had just gone for a walk, maybe just walking along the road or anything, their scent would be there. It's interesting that the dogs lost the scent at the driveway and it didn't take them anywhere. And there was no, and I know this question comes up every time a child goes missing, why is there not an Amber Alert? An Amber Alert is designed for when a child is known to have been abducted and that they know who has taken that child. They've got information so they can share that and say, this vehicle with this license plate, this child, this person has abducted them, everything else. When it's not an abduction, and the reason why an abduction is distinguished from any other sort of missing child situation is that, when a child is grabbed off the street and put in a car or a van or a vehicle of any kind, they're gone. The odds of getting that child back are very slim, which is why you have to have the whole country aware of it and knowing if they see that car, you call the police. So, because seconds count in a situation like that. And yes, I know when children go missing, seconds count as well. But when a child wanders off into the woods, they're in the woods. You just got to find them in the woods with the dogs and the infrared and the drones and everything else. But when a child is abducted, and that child has been abducted, and you have information that you can put out to the citizenry to keep an eye out for that car, that's why there's an Amber Alert. In this case, there was no need for an Amber Alert because there was no indication that the children had been abducted and they had nothing to say. They're like, hey, if you see a car with 2 children, call us. Like that, you know what I mean? Like, what are they going to say in an Amber Alert? They don't know anything. So that's why there was no Amber Alert. The police were called, search parties came, hundreds of people came to help them search. There is the potential that this is an opportunistic abduction. So it could just be the children toddled down, were just exploring, someone came by, saw their opportunity, grabbed them, and now they've been sold somewhere, which is horrific. But that's our world right now. And I'll tell you how easy it can happen. My son, when he was little, my son like towers over me now. He drives, he shaves. So we're going back in history. I sent him to Montessori school out in the country. And so I used to have to drive him there every morning and then pick him up every afternoon. And the road, there was a little country road that we used to go down to get to the school. And one day I was driving, I picked him up and we're driving out and there's 2 little kids, like a baby and like toddlers, like maybe 3 years old and 2 years old, like little kid in diapers, only diapers. They weren't wearing shirts or pants or shoes or anything, only diapers. And they're in the middle of the road. And I stop and I scoop these kids up to get them off the road because they're like sitting on the ground playing. They would have been killed. Anybody not paying attention would have killed both of them. Just hit them accidentally, would not even have realized there was children there, and then would have been wondering what's going on. So I grab these kids and I'm holding them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I got to call the police because what do I do with these kids? A minute or so later, a woman opens the front door to her house up the street, and she's on the phone, talking on the phone, doesn't even notice that her children have escaped and are in the middle of the road. And she's like, yeah, just send them back. They live here. Just send them back. And I put the kids down to see what they would do, and they run off into the house. So that is their house. But in the amount of time, that 60 seconds from the time I grabbed those children up off the road and was keeping them safe to the time the mother saw that somebody had her children. And she didn't even seem panicked at all. That's the part that killed me. She just didn't. And I said, your kids were in the middle of the road. And she's like, yeah, they do that. Okay. So note to self, be careful driving down this road. But in those 60 seconds, I could have popped the kids in my car and been gone. And she never would have known where her children went. That's how easy it would be to have abducted these children. I don't think anybody thinks that's what happened here. I don't think anybody thinks this. And one of the markers, and I've listened to a bunch of criminal experts and on this topic, talking about this, people who know this, lawyers and I want to say like criminologists, experts in the mind of a criminal, and psychologists and things like that. The marker that they're all seeing is the father, the stepfather, the non-biological adult in the house is almost always the culprit in situations like this. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying what the experts have been saying. So, and because he's just been so vocal about this, he's begging for help. He's criticizing the search response time. He's just talking a little too much for everybody's comfort, I think. And, they brought in a helicopter. They actually pulled a helicopter from a scene where they found a dead swimmer or kayaker or something, and then sent the helicopter to look for the children. There's absolutely no criticism at all against the police, except for their weird, stupid press conference where, like we have information about the investigation, and then they spend 23 hours talking about land acknowledgements, and like I was just like, oh my God, to add insult to injury, right? And just so that I actually spoke with somebody recently that I know who is Native Canadian. She's First Nation. She's like full on all of it, has a status card. Her family goes back generations. And I said, what is it? What do you think about land acknowledgements? And she said, like most Native people, we just think it's stupid shit that white people do. And I was like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Because my attitude is, if we're going to brag about stealing their land, just give it back. Right? Or shut up about it, one or the other. So anyway, so the RCMP had to do a land acknowledgement and acknowledge everybody except this family before they said, we're no longer going to be investigating this. We're scaling it right back because there's absolutely no chance these children are still alive. There have been no sightings, nothing. They have found no trace of these children. And there's so many inconsistencies. There's so many questions, like the timeline and then all of this other stuff. So, yeah. What do you think? Is it the stepfather? Is it both of them? Is it an abduction? Something interesting that came out, because this is every hour something new is coming out about this story. A neighbor posted that they live 500 meters from this family. And so I have a neighbor that I occasionally hang out with. We go to dinner usually about once a month, and she lives less than 500 meters from my house. So I know how far away that is. And she lives about 475 meters from my house, only because I measured it one day because I track my walks. When I got to her house, I'm like, oh, I should check and see how far it is from my house. And so it would take me about 5 or 6 minutes to walk probably to her house. So that's about how far this person lives. And they said that they had no idea that there were children living there. And that they thought it was a drug house. And apparently, one night in the days before the children went missing, there were a lot of cars there, and they thought, oh, they're just having a big drug party. So now the question is it possible that the children ate something at this party, like ate drugs, thinking it was candy or something, and it killed them, and then now this guy has to deal with it? Like, there is a part of me that thinks the mother doesn't actually know what happened to her children, but he does. And that she has her suspicions, but she has nothing concrete. So I don't know. Let me know what you think is going on here. Let me know, like, do you think the parents are in on it together? Do you think it's just him? Do you think the children were abducted? Do you think they're just missing, wandering around in the woods? Do you think they're still alive? I don't think they're still alive. It's certainly not a cold case, that's for sure. It's only been just over a week, so it's still going to be fresh. But yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the comments. And don't forget to stay curious.